Grab yourself a beer, strap yourself in, and get ready because you're listening to the Clock and Talk on Arsenal podcast. Hello and welcome to the Clock and Talk. I'm your host Tez. Thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. You can follow us at clockand_talk on Twitter. We're also on Facebook and YouTube. Each and every week I'm joined by, usually it's been two blokes, but one bloke. Tony, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. Obviously, I'm here as always, unlike some of us that just dip in and out whenever we fancy.
Well, I don't think his heart's in it, to be honest, mate. And those who are wondering who the fuck we're talking about, I better introduce him. Schwinn, how are you, mate?
It's been a week, you know. I mean, it's not as if I've been absconding for a month or a year or something. So, you know, I think I deserve a bit more slack than I'm being cut at the moment. But, yeah, it's good to be back. Not the ideal time to be back, unfortunately, after yesterday. But I guess we'll get into that.
Hang on, mate. Welcome home, cunt. Welcome home. There you go. Okay, let's get into this game, boys. Because you're right, it wasn't the not the greatest game to come back to, Schwinn. But let's get into Tony, your lineup, mate. Your thoughts on that to start with?
I think pretty much everything Emery done wrong yesterday was wrong, including the lineup. I know that Kolasinac pulled up in training the day before the game, and obviously he was due to start. But for me, I assume, and I could be completely wrong here, but I assume that meant Monreal would have played left centre-back and Xhaka in midfield. So where Kolasinac has got injured, for me, I probably would have just slotted Maitland-Niles in at left wing-back, and then that means you're only making one change to the team, Kolasinac out and Maitland-Niles in. But what he's done is moved Monreal from left centre-back to wing-back, so that's one change. Xhaka from, I assume, centre midfield to centre-back, where he's never played, so that's two changes. And then you've had to bring Guendouzi in. So he's made three changes where he could have just made one.
Mm-hmm. No, look, I agree. I couldn't work it out for the life of me either. I thought Granit Xhaka he was more of a centre-back, wasn't he?
Well, no, he played at centre-back. I was on the way there, I was driving there, and we saw the lineup come out. And we just assumed it was four at the back, with Lichtsteiner and Koscielny playing at centre-back, because Lichtsteiner has played there before. It's not ideal, but we thought with what we had. And then to see, as soon as they sort of come out to take kick-off, and Xhaka ran out and he ran towards centre-back, the look of horror from a lot of the away end was like, oh my God, what am I about to watch?
What is going on here? I agree.
It's just, you see him position, like run to there instead of being in centre midfield, and you think, oh, for fuck's sake, here we go.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not good. Schwinn, you seen the lineup come out. You're probably one of them like me. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I mean, initially I thought we might just go 4-3-3 and try and add some bodies to the midfield. I mean, I heard you guys chat this past week, and I agreed with you guys when you said that we had a lot of bodies in midfield, even when I think it was against United, if I'm not wrong. No, not United, sometime. And we just still couldn't control the game. And even moving forward, we didn't have someone breaking the lines. So I thought Emery's sticking with that philosophy, going 4-3-3, keeping Guendouzi in the middle of the park, and Iwobi and Mkhitaryan on the wing with Aubameyang centrally. But I was shocked myself when I saw Granit in that left centre-back position. And I can understand the thought process behind it. But, you know, we were playing Southampton. We're not playing a team that's going to attack a lot. They're not going to enjoy a lot of possession. They'll look to hit us on the break. So when you are planning to have the lion's share of the ball, you need Granit in there to stabilize things. And let's be honest, there's a lot of creativity that stems from him. He might not be providing it firsthand, but he finds people in good pockets of spaces that can go and, put some damage on the opposition, and without him in midfield. And this is nothing against Guendouzi or for that matter, even Torreira. But it's just how he's deployed in midfield, and we thoroughly missed that yesterday.
Yeah, I agree. You only got to look back at the Manchester United game. Tony, I didn't really know what we were going to get out of this Southampton team because, new manager. So I'd watched a couple of games from the old manager, and, look, they're dwindling around down the relegation. We're just out above it now with the win yesterday. But I'll be honest, I didn't know what I was going to get out of this Southampton team. So were you a little bit surprised?
I think the way they were going to play was pretty clear. I mean, they're going to try and get Redmond on the ball a lot. I mean, Redmond wasn't getting in the team every week under Hughes, which is weird because I think most people would agree he's quite a good player and one of their better ones. It is always going to be hard to tell how a new manager's going to do things. So it is difficult to set up against teams when you don't know what they're going to do. But let's be honest, they've not got the greatest quality, and we didn't really test them.
Yeah, I've been having discussions today with a couple of Spurs fans and obviously a Chelsea fan, and I haven't spoke to you guys at all since the game. Usually we might, make a couple of remarks to each other on the WhatsApp, but we've all been flat strapped. So, and I basically, a Tottenham fan said to me today, suck fucking shit, you got beat by Southampton. And I said, listen here, cunt, fuck up for a minute. We've had our whole fucking defence basically rearranged. So anybody who watches football would see that our whole back line's fucked at the moment. Chelsea fan basically said the same thing to me. Fucking sucked in, cunts. And I said the same back to him. I said, look, we had no defence. Now, both of them, a Tottenham fan and a Chelsea fan, turned around and said to me, that makes a big, big difference, Tez, because... Look, when you got half a defence out, I didn't realise that. So we really missed that yesterday, didn't we, Schwing?
We did. And look, we all love Koscielny, but if yesterday is a trailer for what's supposed to come, then I think we all know that's not the way to go. And Lichtsteiner, again, I don't think he did anything bad or anything wrong, but I can't imagine saying this about Lichtsteiner, but throughout our back five, there seemed to be this passiveness going on. We let them enjoy a lot of time on the ball, almost out of complacency, maybe. If you look at the ball that I think it was Redmond who played, right, for I think it was their second goal. And Guendouzi, in the build-up to the goal, when we had the ball, was running all over the place like a headless chicken. And because of him draining his energy, was just a second slow to closing Redmond down. And, when you see that as a defender, you have to try and charge that down. And no one did. And this was a common theme throughout yesterday. We just didn't get close enough to the players, to the ball. And, the only one I saw sort of tracking back and making tackles was Mkhitaryan. But when he got the ball, he gave it away every fucking time. So, I mean, the defense was an issue, but it all permeates from the top. And I think pretty much everyone is to blame yesterday. I don't think there's anyone we can leave out.
No, I agree. Now, let's try and break this game down a little bit, Tony. And usually you watch the game back, and I do too as well, but I didn't really want to watch that game back today. First goal, Southampton, they go up in the 20th minute. 1-0. Obviously, we're all thinking, shit, here we go.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite hard for me to analyse because obviously I was there. I was behind the goal in the first half where they scored, so I saw both of Ings' headers directly in front of me. But I've not seen it back, and you don't see the different angles and stuff. So I may be putting blame on people where they maybe wasn't to blame. But with that first goal, I mean, Ings is in the 6-yard box, practically in the middle of the goal. So, and they're playing one up front, one centrally up front, and we've got 3 centre backs. For him to be unmarked is just ridiculous in itself. I don't know. I don't think he could have got there, but Koscielny went with his feet to a ball that's overhead height, which was again another weird decision. But I don't think he would have got there with his head anyway. Again, I'm only going on what I've seen. I've not even seen highlights of any of the goals or anything. But yeah, I mean, and they just allowed. It was a great ball. I think it was Matt Targett that played the cross. But how long do they want to give him? It's like they might as well have said, "Go on, mate. Like, set yourself up, have the perfect opportunity. We won't put any pressure on you." It's one of them things. It's not. I always say that most goals are a combination of small mistakes, unless there's a huge glaring error, and that's one of them where there's maybe not even a mistake in there, but so many players could have done so much more to affect what happened.
Yeah, look, I've just flicked it on now quickly just to have a little look at myself, and I know you haven't watched it, so it is very hard. And for me, Bellerin, look, and it goes back further before it got to Bellerin, before it even got out to Matt Targett to cross the ball in, and as you said, it was a brilliant cross in. But for me, Bellerin, I thought, would have seen that ball going to him. I don't know if you remember watching it on the game or not. When they've hit that ball out the target, and then I just thought Bellerin could have done a little bit more there. But did you see much of it, Schwinn?
Not again. I mean, I obviously watched the game live, and then they played some highlights. They played some replays rather right after the goal. But I mean, it's defending 101. He's a left back. He's left-footed. So you try and show him inside. Ideally, you obviously get the ball away from him and try and hit them on the counter. But if you're not going to go in for the tackle, you show him inside so that he doesn't go towards the byline and play a ball. And the kid played an early ball, a fantastic one, but Bellerin was at least 2 feet away from him. That's not how you defend. And look, when you play in a ball like that, there's not a whole lot you can ask from your goalkeeper. 3 yards out, someone's heading the ball in. But apart from Koscielny, at the same time, I'd like to see Leno come out of the goal and maybe try and punch it out, as we saw him do unsuccessfully with the last goal. But again, it just stems from, as Tony said, it's not just one person. In essence, the attitude of the team just wasn't quite spot on. I think there was a lot of complacency yesterday, and that showed throughout all the 3 goals, I'd say.
28th minute, Tony Mkhitaryan gets one.
Yeah, again, I've not even. They don't show replays of away goals at Southampton. A lot of teams do that, and Southampton are one of them. So I've literally just seen it live. Great run by Monreal, good ball, good finish. As I said, I can't really go into too much detail because I've seen it once as it happened. But it looked like a nice move. It's probably one of the first times we got in behind, and it was a good pick out. And good run from Mkhitaryan as well.
Schwinn, obviously, then we go in just before half-time, and Southampton go up again, 2-1.
Yeah, we just can't catch a break. I think we've not gone into the second half at any point in this season in the lead. And again, it sort of just deflates you, and you would expect Unai Emery to rile up the team and try and affect the team by making some changes, but we will obviously get into that. But again, a cheap goal to give away. I spoke about this when I was talking about Guendouzi. The way Ings gets that in, I don't understand how he does that. It just sets up for him perfectly, and somehow he arcs that ball into the corner. I don't think you can expect much from Leno there, because I don't think he was expecting it to even hit the crossbar, let alone go in. Again, a lot of passiveness, something that bothered me very much yesterday. It's not something you expect from an Unai Emery team, and we've not seen that so far. But there's very clear issues in this team, and attitude was not one of them till now. But you'd have to question whether that's going to become a problem as we lose a bit more depth in the squad.
Mm-hmm. Where are we up to, Tony? So we go 2-1. At that point, you're thinking in the stadium, fuck, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we was down to 10 pretty much when we conceded the second, because Hector was down the other end of the pitch injured. Didn't see what happened to him, so I actually have no idea what's wrong with him. I just saw him down on the floor, and they broke and scored. So again, I know Swin just covered that second goal, but it's another free header in the middle of the goal. So again, I don't know who you can apportion the blame to, but it's obviously not right that a striker who's not, let's be honest, it's not like he's an Andy Carroll, a 6'5" and an absolute monster in the air. Danny Ings hadn't scored a header since 2015, and then he gets 2 in 45 minutes. as I said, I don't know who the blame is on, but it's criminal that a striker can be in the middle of the goal clear. And I don't know, we was down to 10 essentially, but still, you can't leave the one attacker that's in the box free. Just, it doesn't make sense. As I said, obviously Hector was injured. Maitland-Niles got stripped straight away and ready to come on, and then they held the sub till after half time, and then obviously brought Lacazette on instead. I know I tweeted after the game yesterday all of the decisions that I thought were wrong. So amongst the line-up shape formation, I also thought he got all the subs wrong. I think so far this season, and we've said it on here, Emery's got away with a lot of things, and when he hasn't got away with it, it's been we've got a draw instead of a maybe we could have got a win, or against Chelsea we lost, but we didn't really expect too much from that. I think yesterday's probably the first time he's made mistakes that have really cost us.
Mm-hmm. What do you think the thoughts were, with the Lacazette Bellerin substitute?
Well, he wanted to get more attacking threat on the pitch because we were 2-1 down and needed to score. And to be honest, Southampton looked half decent going forward, but they looked very bad at the back. So I think he thought, if we got more bodies there, there's obviously more chance of scoring and make it like a basketball game in a sense that we'll score more than you. And I'm not saying completely forget defending, but put the emphasis on outscoring them rather than trying to keep them quiet, especially with a makeshift defence. But you then ended up with a back four of Lichtsteiner, who's not played a great amount and is 34 years old. Koscielny, who was playing his first proper game in 8 months. I'm not counting Thursday because he didn't have to run.
Yeah.
Xhaka, who's never ever been a centre back, and as much love as we all have for Xhaka, we always say one of his worst qualities is his defensive instinct,
yep.
and he's playing at centre back. And then you got Monreal, who's been out for 6 weeks. That's your back four. Like, we as soon as that sub was made for Lacazette coming on, we got what he was trying to do and get more attacking play in the game. But you knew there was no way on earth that we weren't going to concede again.
No, it was a real mystery.
We actually said that at half time. Like, we're going to have to score 3 more because there is no way that defence is not going to concede in 45 minutes.
And then, well, obviously, Mkhitaryan, he gets one and another one, and we go 2-2 up. Assist by Lacazette, and you're starting to think, oh well, shit, Emery might have got that right because we've got a goal back, but then our defence has let us down again later in the piece. So, Schwinn, Iwobi went off. Ozil made an appearance in the 70th minute.
He did, and to be honest, I thought we'd see that change at halftime. Not Iwobi. I don't think Iwobi had a good game, but I don't think he did anything wrong. We didn't get the ball out to our forward players a whole lot, and the combination didn't exist on the day. But I thought a change was imminent, where we saw Granit move up into central midfield, and maybe Guendouzi is the one who was sacrificed for someone to play, in the hole between the lines, whatever you want to call it. And who better than Mesut Ozil to do that? I'm not entirely sure what's going on because, he played, the full game, I think, against Karabakh. And he didn't really look, I'm sure he's not 100%, but he didn't look injured. And then we opted to, throw him on with just 20 left instead of when, we maybe had a bit more time. So there has been some talk about him, particularly with the dummy. I thought he tried to affect the game, but didn't really succeed in that. And his performance was reflective of the whole team's performance. It's not as if we should make him a scapegoat because he came on for 20 minutes and still managed to create the most number of chances out of any Arsenal player on the day.
I don't know. He doesn't seem a happy camper, does he? Just something about him at the moment. He just doesn't seem like he's enjoying his football. And I think when we see Ozil really enjoying his football is when we really see him type of flourish, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tough to say. Look, we don't know the guy. We don't know what he's like on a personal level. To judge him on 20 minutes of what the TV cameras are showing us on and off, I don't think is fair.
Oh no, I just mean in general, like you see, you see on the, different things throughout the week and different reports and maybe it's just the media beating up things too. I don't know, Schwinn, because like you said, we're not there. So, But just the impression that we seem to be getting for some reason.
Let's assume that's the right. I would imagine that's a better scenario than him being apathetic towards the situation. I want him to feel bad. I want him to miss playing football if that's the case. There's no doubt that he's going to be with us for a while. So it's better that he's not getting isolated and is still wanting to play some football. What exactly he's going through, I'm not sure, but it's not working for us at the moment. And it's not just him. On the day yesterday, many of the players didn't work out. So I don't think we should make this a Mesut Ozil show, because I'm pretty sure this is going to be the Unai Emery show.
Tony Lichtsteiner, he goes off. Maitland-Niles comes on in the 74th minute.
Yeah, again, obviously Lichtsteiner picked up a knock, and it was the obvious change, really. If you're going to put someone at right back, Maitland-Niles was the only one that could play there. I don't think, just going back on what you two were talking about, I don't think Ozil was the right change. It was a high energy game. They're obviously trying to impress their new manager, and they're running like not like headless chickens, but they're running their nuts off. And Ozil just coming back from injury, I know he has more quality to affect the game, but if you presume he's lacking match sharpness, then for me, I think Ramsey was the obvious change. Again, we don't know about Ramsey's injury situation because he came off at United and we haven't seen him since, so maybe he wasn't match fit either. It's a strange one with Ozil because he looked fine on Thursday. He played 60 or 70 minutes. And he looked fine, didn't look like he was struggling at all with any injury or anything. The game was played at walking pace, though, so it's quite hard to judge. But then yesterday, he came on and he looked as stiff as a board. And, obviously it's rumoured that it was a back injury keeping him out. And he looked like he couldn't move yesterday. I was surprised when I've seen it before Schwinn just said it, that they said he created most chances once he come on, because I can't think of any. But I mean, just everything he'd done, it looked like laboured and hard. It looked like it was hard for him to move. The dummy's ridiculous. You can't defend that. And obviously, I tweeted it straight after the game yesterday, and someone said, "Oh, you didn't moan when he done one on the edge of the area, and it nearly went through, and someone nearly got in." Yeah, because that's the right area to do it. That's like saying, "Oh yeah, I didn't mind when he done it in their area, but I got pissed off when he done it in our own area." Obviously, that it's just. Again, I've questioned our game management a lot this season, and that on an individual level is just stupid, because the risk versus reward, there was no reward. Even if the player buys the dummy, then what? Another centre midfielder gets the ball 50 yards out with 9 men behind the ball. Again, I don't want to particularly pick on him, but had anyone else made that mistake, I'd be doing the same, and I have done throughout the season. So I'm not just going to let him slide because everyone else played bad. That's not Again, going on through the goal, it's not the only mistake that leads to the goal. It's another goal where there's 3 or 4 mistakes. Koscielny, again, fuck knows what he was doing. He's just stood in the middle of the area. Charlie Austin's ran off him. He's not even looking like.
So this is the third goal we're talking about.
Well, it came from the dummy, didn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
So they've obviously played in long down the right. Leno, again, I don't know if you've seen it on TV. Leno started to come and then thought better of it, but he's already himself 2-3 yards out of position by starting to come. Koscielny, as I said, I ain't got a clue what he was doing. Just didn't bother. There's no one else there, so go to the man. Don't.
Yeah, no, he's tried, but looking back, and he didn't track back at him. But I looked before that at Long. Who was?
It was Long that went down the right.
Yeah, why was he just cruising on the right on his own?
No, but I can't remember. I think it was Granit was trying to get back with him and cut off so Long couldn't just run in on goal. So I think positionally wise, Granit done his job. But as I said, Koscielny, what's he doing? He's just marking dead space when there's a striker basically in the 6-yard box. Maitland-Niles can't be completely ignored. He should have tracked back better. He's very quick, and I don't know if he saw that we had the more numbers. I think we had like 4-on-1. So he thought, it's fine. I don't really need to get back. But you can't presume in football, especially when you're fresh and you've only been on about 7 minutes. And then again, Leno should do better with the cross. The Ozil mistake is ridiculous because it's a choice. Like, he's chosen to dummy it in there. But you can't let off every other player because someone's made a mistake beforehand.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was from. I didn't want to go into it with Schwinn there a minute ago because I knew you were going to bring it up. But that's type of where I was looking at Schwinn with Ozil, and I don't want to single him out either, mate, because, we at the end of the day, we take the piss with each other, mucking around and fucking around, but mate, I like Ozil. So I want him to perform. I want him to be at Arsenal a long time and get many assists and all his stats up and become a legend at Arsenal. So, but when you see things like that, you think, oh, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no denying that he made a mistake, and there's no denying that we conceded a goal from it. And can we just take a second to appreciate how good of a ball that Shane Long put in there? I mean, that's exactly the sort of ball he would expect in that case. So it really was the perfect storm in that sense. And I don't want to absolve Mesut Ozil of any mistakes. I just don't think that the result in itself is reflective of, is because of him. He obviously didn't affect the game, as I said, but I don't think we should talk about him. I think this is a broader issue on the day. And as Tony said, from the very onset of the game, from the lineup he chose to the shape to the formation to the roles, everything was wrong. And we've seen chances of this happening in the previous weeks, and Emery's pulled through somehow. Yesterday just wasn't our day, and it just so happens it was against a bottom side in Southampton.
Mm-hmm. No, it's one of them days, all right. You want to do a man of the match, Tony?
Look, you've got to give it to Mkhitaryan because he's got the 2 goals. I mean, obviously the second was heavily deflected, but he's the only one you can give it to. I think I don't think he played particularly well. I actually don't think he was bad. I'm not a huge Mkhitaryan fan. I don't think he done much wrong, but he wasn't good. But when you've got 2 goals and everyone else has been a shower of shit, I think you probably have to give it to him.
Mm-hmm. Schwinn?
Jan Bednarek, the centre-back who made a couple of really crucial challenges coming in from the back against Aubameyang, I think, who found himself on both occasions at point-blank range. And if it weren't for him, Aubameyang would have scored a brace yesterday. So I think he probably walks away with that, plus the result. So he's got that going for him as well.
Yeah, look, I'll probably have to run with Tony. I don't want to fucking... agree with him, but I can't think of anybody else on the field that did. He wasn't great, but when he gets 2 goals, it's very hard to knock it back. Schwinn, I want to touch with you quickly because I know you've got to go soon. So, and then me and Tony will run through some questions. You mentioned Guendouzi. You didn't want to rule pick on the kid, but you did say a comment that I've said previously, running around like a headless chook.
Yeah, look, his issue is energy management. At least that's what it seemed to me in particular instances. And you'd expect that sort of, inability or, whatever you want to call it, lack of experience from a 19-year-old. You'd expect that. And when we haven't seen it as much as you would expect. But I think he needs a bit more coaching in that sense because he has the right attitude. He has the ability to play the ball. Certain footballers, when they strike a ball, aesthetically you can tell that these people are going to be footballers and they're going to be good at it. He has that about him. But there's certain aspects of reading the game, understanding the game, the progression of the game, which I think he is not quite up to speed with. And this is by no means a criticism. I think he's well ahead of where he should be, depending on his age. But it's still not where it needs to be to play regularly for Arsenal Football Club. So again, I don't want to single him out. Even though the comment I made about him coming off was nothing against him. It was to impact the team and not, single him out or make him the scapegoat. I'm a massive Guendouzi fan, as listeners will know. But I think to throw him into the deep end regularly may not do as well as we want for him to do. And a bit more coaching on that side, a bit more understanding of the game might help him.
Mm-hmm. I've just dug up, and for those who haven't seen the game yet, and if you're listening to this podcast or you think, fuck, I couldn't be bothered listening to that, I couldn't be bothered watching that game. You've got to listen to us because we're just legends. I couldn't be fucked watching the game because we lost the game. So I've just got who scored up, and Tony, you referenced the whole who scored a fair bit. And just in the match summary, create Southampton, and you guys might disagree with this, Southampton created high number of chances, stole the ball often from the opposition, were effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities, were effective goal-scoring opportunities from long shots, were strong at finishing. Their weakness, they were aggressive and lost possession often. But Arsenal, so our strengths were stole the ball often from the opposition, were effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities with through balls, were effective at creating goal-scoring opportunities from long shots, were effective from the flanks, but our weakness, which type of vibe, I went, oh shit, okay, and it's something that has been week in, week out, is committed a high number of individual errors. You agree with that, Tony?
Yes and no. I mean, created a high number of scoring chances from long shots. I mean, really, what does that even mean?
I don't know what that one means, actually.
A long shot that was deflected, and that was it. Yeah, look, Southampton made it one of them games where it was you run your socks off, everyone's under pressure at all time, and when that happens, both teams are going to turn over the ball a lot, and you can see that as individual errors or great pressing, or it depends if you're looking for a positive or a negative to how you word it. Look, we just weren't good enough on the day. It's as simple as that, really.
Mm-hmm. Just one of them games. Craig's done our ratings at clockandtalk.blogspot.com. So that's gone up if you want to have a read of that. The Southampton ratings for Arsenal, just scrolling through. Not too bad. Poor old Leno, I noticed in the ratings he did get hammered, but boys, I don't, and I'll go to you, Schwinn, I don't think he was at fault on all three goals.
Not all three. You could make a case for him being at fault for the first one, although I think that'd be a bit harsh, but I think there's room for dialogue there. The second one, again, I don't think there's anything you could...
Sorry to interrupt, Schwinn. We've got Bate Borislav away in the Europa League.
There you go. You heard it here first, I suppose. But yeah, the second one, I don't think you can put any blame on him for. And third one, yes. Having said that, I think he made a cracking save when Maya Yoshida headed the ball towards him. Thought that was a very good save. And, of course, then a goal was ruled out correctly. It wasn't his strongest performance, but, again, I don't think this is the Leno we've seen so far this season. We expect a bit better from him.
Yeah, well, he got a 4.5 on Craig's ratings, and look, who scored's not far from him, I don't think. I haven't got it up in front of me. He's about 5.5, so... Craig's man of the match, he hasn't really listed one. So, Mkhitaryan at a 7. Yeah, Mkhitaryan at a 7. So, where do we go from here, Tony? What do we do next week?
Well, just to try out, I mean, for obvious reasons, it's Tottenham, but just a feel-good factor, we have to win on Wednesday now. It's like made it almost essential. I mean, it was obviously very important anyway. I probably now expect them to go full strength on Wednesday. One or two changes, but I expect quite a strong team. I think Cech might play because he's the cup keeper, and he didn't play against Carrier Bag because they wanted to give Martinez a run out. Well, is it a run out if you're a keeper? I don't know, whatever the keeper term of that is. So I think maybe full strength plus Cech instead of Leno, and obviously the injuries are dependent. We're not sure with Bellerin. We're not sure with Kolasinac. Obviously, don't know about Ramsey's fitness, but I expect to see a very strong team on Wednesday now, and I think that's where we go from here.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's in the EFL Cup, and then we've got Burnley on a couple of days later. Yeah, so I'm just gonna keep. I'm just a little bit... I was looking at this ladder today, Schwinn, and I'm a little bit concerned. Arsenal, we're in 5th position on 34 points. Chelsea, 37. Tottenham, 39. So 3, 4 and 5th, they're all there. Liverpool and Manchester City are literally starting to run away with it a little bit. 45 Manchester City and 44 Manchester City and 45 Liverpool. Expectations coming down, mate. Like we 3rd, 4th. You always said outside though, didn't you?
I did. I mean, let's be honest. This whole run of 22 games unbeaten was a very, very pleasant surprise. I don't think anyone expected it. I don't even think the players expected it, to be honest, because there's obvious gaps in the team that you can pinpoint and make a case for heavy changes throughout. But we are where we're supposed to be. fifth position. We're quite ahead of Man United, I think, at this point. 8 points behind, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, they're 26. Yep.
Yeah, so we're sort of on an island, you could argue, and I'd expect us to maintain this position. I don't think we're going to fall back. We can expect some teams to drop points above us, and maybe we can capitalize on that. But I think we're at par. I don't think we're in a bad position. I certainly don't think we're somewhere where ahead of where we should be. I think it's as par gets.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Tony, how are you feeling with the ladder, mate? I only bring the ladder up because I didn't realise when we're 21 games undefeated or 22 undefeated, and I looked at the ladder and thought, holy fuck, okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, Liverpool and City, you can kind of disregard them. We were never going for the title this year. I know some people may have said it being optimistic, I expect the title challenge, but let's be honest, it was never going to happen. Yeah. I completely agree with Schwinn that we are as par gets. What worries me is that we've gone 22 unbeaten. We've rode our luck quite a few times, and we're still only at par.
Yeah,
you would expect that. Yeah, if you've got away with a few results that you maybe didn't deserve, and you've had a few decisions go your way, and things are generally going well for you, you should be ahead of where you expect to be. As I said, it's not the end of the world. I mean, 3 points behind Chelsea it's one game essentially. I mean, I'm not sure if they've got any tough games coming up, but it doesn't worry me. Even 5 points behind Tottenham, in this league things can turn around so quickly. Yep. It was only 2 weeks ago that we went above Tottenham, and now we're 5 points behind them. So it's not like we're cut away from third and fourth, which is the two spots we're aiming for, really.
Oh yeah, we're thereabouts, absolutely.
Yeah, as I said, I just think for me the only worry is we're probably where we expected to be, in and around the top four. But as I said, when you've been playing, you've had a load of good results and whatnot, you probably expect to be the top end of your aim, not the bottom, which is where we are.
Yeah, that's what I said, and that's what shocked me today when I looked and went, fuck me, we've been unbeaten, and we've been some dicey games, there've a couple of draws and that, 3 or 4 draws in there, well, maybe more. But, I thought, shit, we're still on 5th place there, so. Schwinn, before you go, mate, we've discussed it a few times last week and the week before, the ones that you missed out on, just the ones that you don't feel like turning up to.
The ones I didn't have my heart in.
Yeah. Jeez, I've been hammering you with that, haven't I? Yeah. January, mate, you thinking some depth, some new players? What's your thoughts there now?
I'd like to. I think as I said, there's obvious gaps in the team. And there's a case for changes to be made in the team. But I don't know. I really don't. It's such a small sample space with this new system, this new hierarchy. Emery's obviously had some time with the players. Now he'll have a better sense of who he wants, what position he wants. And I'm pretty sure he'll happily take whatever is afforded to him from Mislintat and Sanalehi. And by that logic, I would imagine we have a couple of aces up our sleeve. But I really don't know, because with this new change in regime, we're obviously not going for the conventional players anymore. We're hunting in different grounds. And with their contacts, I think there's a possibility of players coming in. But if you ask me to put a name out there, I couldn't be more wrong with any option I throw out there.
I've seen reports during the week, Emery, and I don't know how true these reports are, but he said he wants a centre-back. That's something you'd be comfortable with?
It's something I'd happily take. I think there's other pressing issues as well. Of course, the centre-back issue right now is in full flow, so we obviously feel that a lot. And to an extent, I could see an argument for a left back as well. But I think a winger is someone that we've been shouting for, at least on this podcast, for over a year now. And I do continue to think that's our number one priority, or it ought to be. With center backs, we have Koscielny. He can be a makeshift center back. Maybe he'll improve as he recovers. We haven't seen any of Mavropanos so far this season. He's obviously someone we have high expectations for. And Socrates and Mustafi are going to be back as well, with Monreal and Lichtsteiner as deputies if needed. I just think a center back means Callum Chambers' career at the Arsenal is over. And not that bothers me, but I do think that decision will be made out of, an impulsive scope and not necessarily one out of a long-term need. I think it's something that we look to and we might act upon, but I'm not very certain about a center back. It's possible, but I don't want to put money on it.
Okay. You see the winger that I've been talking about all off season, he got 2 goals.
Who's that?
Oh,
it's my time to go now, boys. Sorry, I'm getting a call.
The bloke you keep calling a fat cunt, or is that Tony calls him the fat cunt?
No, we call you the fat cunt.
Fucking,
you
fucking
had it wrong all this time.
Unbelievable. But anyway, look, mate, thank you very much for bringing your picnic along and joining us here today. So we'll probably see you around Liverpool game.
Well, you'll see me a bit more. I was traveling last week. I still am, but I'm back in Delhi now, so I have better internet here. So
well, just to point out for anyone that's missed their Schwind fix, it's just hit this podcast he's got bored of, and you will find him on other podcasts throughout the week.
Oh, that's right. He's given us a real fucking pop pun, hasn't he, this week?
Mercenary. You're no better than Alexis.
Yeah, I hope you're getting paid well.
I made a commitment. Well, to be honest, I am. I've been told there's some very nice gin waiting for me. So, that's more than I could have asked for.
More than I'd ever offer you too. Right. Righto, mate. Thanks for joining us. I'll speak to you later.
Cheers, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
See you, mate. Hey, Tony. Well, that was good to have Schwinn back with us for half an hour, mate.
Yeah, I almost forgot what he sounded like.
I forgot his name.
I don't think his name's Schwinn. He's an imposter.
Let's get into some questions, mate.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, and those who want to send some questions through, we always put a little question thread thing out on our Twitter account at @clockand_talk, so you can get on Twitter, and that's the best place to ask your questions, comments, or rants, or whatever's on your mind, and we'll read them out on the podcast. So, Perry Aubameyang Golden Boot. Is our defence improving merely about better players, or is it about work on the training pitch?
Look, it's a bit of both. The system isn't brilliant. I went on about this so much last season. Our system of defending isn't brilliant, and it's still not. But we touched on it earlier. By the end of yesterday's game, including the injuries in the game, we were without 8 defenders. So obviously you've got Kolasinac, Socrates, Mustafi and Bellerin by the end of the game, which is probably our starting back 4 like a few weeks ago. Then you've also got Lichtsteiner out injured, Mavropanos out injured. I can't remember who the other ones were, but yeah, it was like 7 or 8 people out. Obviously holding. Yeah. So there's 7 or 8 injuries by the end of that game. So there is a personnel issue, but there is also a system issue, because when we've had our full strength defence, I think, is it 3 clean sheets we've kept in this season in the league?
Not many, yeah, it might be 3.
Yeah, so I mean, I think Huddersfield, off the top of my head, Everton, and what was the other one? Watford. There may be 1 or 2 others, but as I said, so that's even with everyone fit and whatnot, different systems, 3 at the back, 4 at the back, 5 at the back. So there is a personnel issue, but there's also a system issue.
Raf, he says, or at Iron Eagle 100, seeing as Kroenke will not give us funds to compete with Liverpool and City, should Emery take a different approach and write off the next 2 seasons and try building a team around the youngsters with the philosophy as it appears to be one of the most talented youth teams to date?
Look, there's a middle ground. Not competing with City, who can spend 400 million in a transfer window if they want to, doesn't mean, we're not going to spend 400 million, so we have to bomb off everything and just go with youth players. And history tells you, apart from maybe the class of '92 at Man United, no youth team has ever come through as a whole and bring through 5, 6 or 7 players. You usually have a very talented group, and maybe 1 or 2 make it. So I definitely wouldn't go that way. But as I said, there's a middle ground. There's a ground where we're probably on, where you can maybe spend 100 million a window, just because you're not competing with Liverpool and City, who are spending a hell of a lot more, and they're spending that amount on one player almost, or 70 million on a keeper. That doesn't mean that you just give up and go with youth. As I said, you go with the middle ground. It's what we've always done. We've been in this position ever since I can remember, where we've never been the biggest spenders. That doesn't mean for the whole time I've watched Arsenal, we've just given up and gone with young players.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look, we've got a good youth team, but geez, we'd be fucking livid forgetting 2 seasons, and then where do you end up in 2 seasons? I'm not saying we're in Fulham's class or Southampton, who are going to Crystal Palace. You could even throw in there as well, who are sliding down the slippery ladder, and so I never want to say, oh, let's give up for 2 seasons, because when you think of Arsenal, I'd always like to think, well, we're in the top 5 teams in the Premier League, so I don't really want to give up. Tony, I was just looking about that, and I can't remember, but the last question with the defence, keeping a clean sheet. Do you remember, did we play a full-strength team in the Europa League against Sporting? Because we had 2 clean sheets against both them.
It wasn't completely full strength. I think Smith Rowe played in both. Welbeck played in both. So no, neither were completely full strength. They weren't even. I mean, I think Sporting away, Xhaka played left back. So no, it wasn't full strength. I think Czech played in both of the games. But Sporting at the Emirates, they knew a draw got them through. They didn't come to play, to be honest.
Okay. No, I was just looking at that and thinking, I wonder what.
Well, I think you only have to really look at what we scored in them games. We scored 1 away and none at home, so it shows that it was a defensive performance from them.
Yeah, it was too. Oh, and the other game, Quarbag or whatever they call themselves.
Carrier
bag, yeah. That was a 3-0 as well. Rodrigo Hollop, not my real name. Well, fucking change the cunt if that's not your real name. Fuck me. Do you think the money and fame has gotten to Guendouzi, and do you think Lacazette and Aubameyang are good role models for him? Very good question.
It's difficult to say without knowing him before, which we didn't. Let's be honest, no one had heard of him. I think it is important, especially as a young. We do forget sometimes that these are very young men, really, and that he's moved to a different country and couldn't speak the language at 19 years old. So he did need people around him that speak his language and can maybe relate to his story, where he's come from and whatnot. So they are important in that sense. Whether they've led him astray, I mean, no idea. We've obviously seen the balloon thing, which, to be honest, as I said, I don't really care about. So, look, we don't know. You don't know if they've just introduced him to London life. He seems happy here. Again, has the fame and his money got to his head? How would we know? We've seen one incident that's maybe a bit wrong, and it was before the season started. So it was before the Man City game, which he started, and when people first really started to take notice. And when that balloon incident happened, I don't think anyone considered he'd play anywhere near as much as he has. So I wouldn't want to call them bad influences, and I think it's very, very important for him. I know had I moved to a foreign country at 19 and didn't speak the language, I would want someone, at least, even if they are 5, 6, 7 years older, at least that they speak my language. They know about, you know what I mean? I know France is only fucking down the road, but they know that the foods we eat, so they can tell him where the best French restaurants are and take him there if needed, because I assume he moved on his own. I said most 19-year-olds probably wouldn't move somewhere without their parents, and he's not only moved house, he's moved to another country, probably alone. So I think it is important to have people there for him.
Oh, look, I'd probably see where the question's coming from around.
Oh no, I get it. I get it, but we don't know, is it? Because as I said, we've seen one incident, but I wouldn't put that down to the fame and fortune, because that was essentially before anyone knew who he was.
Yeah, well, I was just going to add, had you not know nothing, but pretend you know nothing about Arsenal for a minute. Would you say Guendouzi how long would you think he was been in the team for?
Oh, he seems like he's been around for
Because,
ages. He seems like he
yeah.
gets the club.
Yeah, he just, for me, he just, and I've been, you see videos on Twitter with him, doing little dances with Lacazette and, slapping hands and just, he has embraced Arsenal really, really well. And I don't know how many players, you see doing that these days as apart from just taking a paycheck. So I like that about Guendouzi, I really do. Yeah. Siddhartha, he's got a bit of a thread going here, so I'm just going to read a couple of things. So chime in when you want, though, Tony. Everyone's been sugarcoating the cracks because we kept winning even though we performed mediocre against smaller oppositions. We keep thinking that the players start slowly on the pitch, but it surely feels like the tactics of the manager considered how we start against weaker teams. We play well against big sides, we try to play football, and we struggle to create chances against weaker oppositions by not playing creative players. I know Mickey got 2 goals, but is it better to start Ozil or Ramsey ahead of him? What are your thoughts, gentlemen? And then he goes in on another question in a minute. So, yeah, go around that one, mate.
Yeah, I mean, look, with Mickey, it's hard to question him yesterday because I probably thought he was our best player and pretty much everyone thought he was our best player. And when you score 2 goals, you probably deserve that right. I'm still not a fan. I still wouldn't start him. Again, it's another issue with when I thought the lineup was wrong. Him being included is one of the issues for me. I'm obviously not speaking with hindsight because if I'd have said that at the start of the game, people go, well, he got the 2 goals. Look, we don't know about fitness. As I said, Ozil didn't look fit when he came on. Ramsey came off injured against Man United and hasn't been seen since, so maybe he didn't have a start in him. And maybe they'd earmarked him for the last 20 minutes, but then we got 2 injuries and that changes plans. I agree completely with papering over the cracks with this 22 unbeaten. Because, as I said earlier, there's a few games where I don't want to say we've been very lucky, but we couldn't have argued had we lost them. I mean, I can think of quite a few off the top of my head where had we lost it, we wouldn't have felt hard done by. We'd obviously been pissed off, but we wouldn't have felt like, we were completely robbed. So I think in that sense that the 22 wins has. We was talking actually on the way back yesterday, like with the friends I went to the game with. I can't think of hardly any games where with 15 minutes to go, we thought, yeah, it's done. We've won this. Like, there's no pressure. It's like we're having to play 90 minutes every week. I'm trying to think of a team. Like, look at City. The amount of times they're 2 or 3-0 up by half time, and they can just cruise the second half. I mean, look, City are maybe a bad example because they're so much better than us. But
Fulham 5-1 was probably one that you could say.
Yeah, but look, that's one. But look when the goals came.
Many. Yeah, there's not many.
Look at the time of the goals. We maybe didn't have to play 90 minutes in that, but we probably had to play 75, and we're probably 3-1 up at the 75th minute, give or take. Like, I'm not even looking, but just from memory, I think it was about that. But I think that's the only one.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Snow's going to have a yak. He's going to disagree with you, but no, I'll agree with you because it was 2, 1-0, and then after half time is when we got the rest of them. So yeah, even that one. There you go. What do we got? Arsenal 3-1 against Leicester. Bournemouth. Yeah, no, you're right. There's a couple.
That's one of the ones I might include because we got 2 goals, I think, around the 65th minute, and then the game was dead from that point onwards. But again, like, we're struggling to think of games. Whereas if you asked even Tottenham and Chelsea fans, who are, look, I'd say we're in a league of 3 teams: Tottenham, Chelsea, and Arsenal playing for 2 positions, and them teams can all name games that, it was done at half time or it was done after 60 minutes, and we could kind of relax. Whereas we've not had that, so we're having to play 90 minutes every week or 80 minutes every week.
No, it is a worry. It is a real worry. I'm not, and just on Mickey though, I'm not a big fan of Mickey. I didn't see much of him at Dortmund. Manchester United, he obviously didn't do much at Manchester United, so we swapped him for a Sanchez with a bit of cash or something. Look, I'm glad that eventually swapped with Sanchez, but did we get an apples for apples type thing? Because I don't know if Sanchez, love him or hate him, look, he did pretty well at Arsenal. Till, obviously then and dropped his bundle and wanted to go. Mkhitaryan, I just don't know what to think of Mkhitaryan. Look, you boys have said he'll probably go eventually, so because of his wage, and he's going to be on high wages. So I think, I'm happy to see the arse end of him. But I'm not saying I hate him, but I just...
Oh, no, look, I don't hate any Arsenal player.
No, that's what I mean. So I just wanted to make that clear. I don't dislike him or nothing against him or anything, but I just don't rate him that much. And I'm still struggling to say, if someone said to me, what does Mkhitaryan bring to the Arsenal team, I struggle to answer.
Yeah,
I really struggle.
I agree. I know we're probably having this at the wrong time because Schwinn likes Mkhitaryan. For me, he's a moments player. He does maybe once a game something that is quite good in terms of he'll have a good chance or put a good ball through that could be an assist. But he spends a lot of the time being completely anonymous, and I'm just not a fan of that type of player. I understand their merits. I think Arshavin was probably quite similar. In every game, he done something, but he was a passenger for the rest of it. And as I said, I can understand why people would like them players, but they're just not for me, and it's just a personal preference.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Siddhartha asked another question. One last question. We also don't seem to control the tempo of the game. It feels like basketball match, like opposition team always has chances against us. We also try to control the game only when we are down. Thoughts? Thanks. Great podcast, by the way, guys. Thank you, mate.
I said earlier yesterday was like a basketball game, and I think they probably made it like that by just, as I said, they want to impress the new manager, so they're going to put in that extra 10% of effort, and they ran at us so hard that it's very hard to control a game when teams are playing like that. I wouldn't say it's generally a problem controlling the tempo. I think we often have a problem with setting the tempo too low, but that's on our own terms, which again is either a mistake or just weird. Like Huddersfield, you can't deny that we controlled the tempo, but for me that tempo was way too slow. I get where the question's coming from, but I think based on yesterday's game, he's completely right. I think based in general, he's probably not. I think, and especially against the better teams, it's weird because I would say we definitely set the pace against Tottenham. We definitely did against Liverpool. But yeah, there has been certain games where it's kind of, we've not been in as much control as we would like. I'd probably say United, we didn't control the game as any of us would like. So it is a bit mix and match, but again, I don't know if you can put that down to newish manager, new regime, new ideas, and his first time going to these places. I think that is something we do underestimate as fans, that we've seen these places. Like, we know we struggle at Southampton, and of course Emery will know the record. He'll know that Arsenal traditionally don't do well at Southampton, but until you've been there, you don't know why. Is it the dimensions of the pitch? Are the fans really hostile on your side? These things sound stupid, but we always hear of second syndrome season with players where they do really well in their first season, but by the second seasons, everyone's already played against them, so they know what they're good at and what they're not so good at. So it's easier to defend against them and easier to stop them. It's literally why second season syndrome's a thing. And Emery's on the reverse side of that at the moment. He's going into everywhere new. He's never been there before. He doesn't know what it's like. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
there is.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think that will be an issue probably for the whole season.
What I want to throw at you, and I know you hate going back and looking at Wenger and things because it's past tense, it's gone. But I will ask you, compared to, let's say, Wenger over the last 5 years, you're watching your Ramseys, your Walcotts and whatnot, your Oxlade-Chamberlains and whatnot. Do you think the tempo has changed a little bit, dropped down a little bit this season compared to them days, even last year?
Yeah, look, I mean, this isn't a positive or a negative because there's no tempo that's right. Like, some teams play slow, some teams play quick. I think quicker football is probably more attractive and more exciting on the eye, so that's probably what we would want to see. Yeah. But I definitely think we're playing at a slower tempo, but purposely. You look at some of the goals we scored, and I think, like, one of the goals yesterday, it seemed like in the ground we'd had about 80 passes before we scored, and none of them particularly went anywhere, but then we made an opening and scored from it. And and we've done that a few times this season. We've scored goals at the end of 30, 35 pass moves. When you do things like that, then obviously the tempo's slower because it's taking you that many passes to get end to end. But that's what they want to do. And as I said, it's not a positive or a negative. There's different ways to do things. But yeah, I definitely think we're a slower team. And you also can look at who's going to run in behind, because that's not going to always play a part in your tempo. And you look, obviously, we've got Aubameyang that's very quick. And that's it, really, in terms of running in behind. You could possibly count Hector in that. Whereas, as you said, in years gone by, we've had Chambo, who was very quick, Walcott, who was stupid quick. Yes.
Well, even Ramsey, like, he mightn't be as quick as your Walcott and that, but he still runs into them spaces, doesn't he? Like, and I love him or hate him.
Yeah,
he's still good.
I said I think it's just a different way of doing things, but I would agree that the tempo's slower.
Yeah, okay. MAA Gunner, I seen you tweet yesterday, MAA Gunner, that you had a dream, and the dream was going to be Southampton 3, Arsenal 2. You know, you can fucking do your dreams, pal. You can fucking clean off out of here. But he does say, what has happened to the mole and the plug? Ever since there was a clear out of staff, they've seemed to have no information.
No idea. Jack rang me yesterday, but I was using my phone as a sat-nav, so I only spoke to him for about 30 seconds. I think he's been tweeting a bit more. I don't know.
No, I haven't seen Jack tweet for a while.
I saw him at Bournemouth away and at United away. I think. No, did I see him at United? I'm not sure. I definitely saw him at Bournemouth. And as I said, he rang me out of the blue yesterday, but I couldn't really speak.
Well, I'll tell you what, MAA Gunner, it's coming up to January, so we'll see what we can do, and we might even get Jack on the Jack or the Mole on the podcast for half an hour chat or something throughout January. How's that? Let us know anyway, MAA Gunner. If you don't want to hear from the ITKs, well, you can also let us know as well, because we just take your feedback. Vish, haven't heard from Vish for a while. Why are we so predictable in building our attack from the left? If Bellerin does not play, we have no outlet on the right, and those who link up with him are ineffective. Why was so impotent in this game?
It's $1 million question. I mean, look, we only really got in down the left once for the goal, for Mickey's first goal. Didn't really get in behind down the right. To be honest, I think Southampton were quite clever in that they showed us the wings and let us have the wings and blocked out the middle of the pitch. And especially with Kolasinac out and with Hector getting injured in the first half, them injuries really helped them, played into their hands as well. I know in years gone by or in games gone by, I've seen the map of what side we tend to attack down more throughout, not in just one game, but throughout the course of maybe 10 or so games, so you get a nice average.
Yep.
It'd be interesting to see that this year, because I feel like if you just ask me now, what do we do more? I would say left. I would say we attack down the left more. But you look at
Monreal, yeah.
Yeah, but then you look at the chances and the amount of chances, or the assists that Hector's got, and it's quite a high number. So I'd love to see the percentages. Not love to see. It's a bit strong. I think it'd be quite interesting.
Saying, yeah, because I just as you were talking about that though, when Granite's playing, he'll tend to switch it over to Bellerin a fair bit of the time. But when
I don't know, I'm not sure I agree with that, because Granite's very, very good at playing that ball into the fullback in behind, into the left back, like where he just loops it over and they run in. I think that's one of his passes he plays very well. Whereas if he does, you're right, he does play switches, but when he switches, it's not to get them in behind, it's just to switch to play. You know what I mean? He doesn't switch and then Hector's in like one-on-one or something. He just switches to play and shuffles everything across. Whereas when he plays to the left, it tends to be trying to put someone in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. Yeah. No, I'd like to see that too. I wonder where we'll find that. Someone will find that for us. Gator Gooner, comment, the game sucked? Question, when the... Okay, the game sucked. His question is, when the hell are the refs going to yellow card the hell out of teams for kick us all over the field.
It was something that I didn't notice it so much in the second half, but maybe it was just because anger got the better of me. But in the first half, I felt like Guendouzi and Torreira got fouled about 20 times each. And again, it's one of them. It is one of the most annoying things in football for me. The fouls that aren't yellow, they're so tiny and niggly fouls that they're never going to get booked from, even if they do 10 of them. But you just think at some point, like, they have to do something about it. And look, it's been a problem for years, and it's not just an Arsenal problem. It's happened to teams throughout time that the smaller teams tend to break things up in midfield. It is annoying. I mean, I don't really know what the solution is.
Mm-hmm. Another question, and Gate again, your lucky Schwinn's gone. Is Ozil done? He doesn't want to play the modern game, and honestly, I have no pity for him, and I wear his name on the back of my shirt. Oh, okay.
Again, I don't agree with him, and I think this modern game stuff is all a myth. I assume he means the pressing game, and I've said this since probably the second week of the season. We are not a pressing team. We do not press the ball. We do it maybe once or twice a game.
But thinking, I want you to go a bit more into detail on that. Thinking of Emery, what have you noticed that he does do?
Well, no, he said at the start, he said when he got the job, I'm going to be a possession-based attacking team. I'd rather take a chance trying to win the game and lose it rather than draw. And I want to play high-paced pressing football. Yep, and he tried to do it against Chelsea and Man City. The issue with pressing is that each line has to follow each other. So your strikers are on their defenders on the edge of their area. Their midfielder comes deep to help their defenders. So then your midfield goes with them. So then their strikers go shorter and your defenders go with them. The problem we saw at the start of the season is we ended up defending on the halfway line and one long ball, and the teams got in pretty much every time.
Yep.
So he's abandoned that
for a while.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. So we stopped becoming a pressing team probably after the Chelsea game, maybe the West Ham game, because it just wasn't working. You can't press whole team in probably in the Premier League. It's very difficult to do. Definitely when you've got our defenders. So he's not. He presses in moments, but not whole team press. So he'll like the three attackers will maybe go, and then the two wing backs. But anything after that, they'll stay deep because you don't want to get running behind. So then you've got two defensive midfielders and a back three that are still defending. As I said, I don't see us as a pressing team. And when everyone says, Iwobi and Mkhitaryan get in because they press, like, show me yesterday where they pressed. And as I said this. I remember saying this at the start of the season. Most teams in the Premier League go long anyway. So how are you going to press when a keeper kicks the ball 70 yards?
I'm trying to think of a game. It wasn't us pressing, though. It was... I can't think now. It was a team that... They were pressing and we were like... I think we drew against them. Was it Wolverhampton?
We drew against Wolves.
Yeah, it might have been Wolverhampton. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with everything you're saying. I haven't seen it. We were defending on the halfway line. We abandoned that very fucking quickly. Yeah. But getting back to Ozil, a lot of people are saying this, and it's what I was saying before with Schwinn. His body language is at the media. Now we're hearing reports that he's going. Is he done? Is the style of play at Arsenal making him, say he's done? I hate that word that he's done, but like, is he becoming another Ramsey under this system?
I don't think so at all. I don't see anything that we do in this system that wouldn't suit Ozil's game. Like even yesterday, one of my biggest problems yesterday actually was the two, Mickey and Iwobi, weren't providing enough width. They were both too narrow, even when we changed to a back four. So people are going, Ozil can't play in one of them two positions because he doesn't like playing wide. Neither of them two, even regardless if it's left or right, neither of them two played wide yesterday. You only have to look at Mickey's goals. Like, they're both pretty much bang central. You can't, Ozil probably doesn't score a header, but you can't tell me Ozil can't play in the middle of the pitch, which is essentially where Mickey played yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to make Mickey versus Ozil argument. I'm just saying you can't tell me he can't play that position when Mickey doesn't play wide.
No, he doesn't play wide. No, look, like I said before, I do really want Ozil to find his way again, and I hope he continues on. So I hope Gator Guna that he's not done, mate. Okay, what else have we got here? MAA Gunner, our luck's run out. If we were going to lose, I'd rather it be today than Wednesday. What was the point in a back three if you're just defensively poor as we were? It's a back four.
Easier to play out from the back and keep the ball, I guess. As look, I've said it on here before. I think back three is an ideal system. I don't know if it suits us at times. So I think in my head, it's a bit like what Guardiola done in his first year at City, where he implemented what he wanted to do, and he didn't really care if he had the players to do it, because he knew the players that were staying would then get used to his system, and then he would bring in players that could play his system, and the current players already knew how to play it. And I think it might be a bit like that, because I know he's not really played a back five before at any of his clubs, Emery, but as I said, I think where it's so adaptable, because it can be a back three, a back five, you can go two up top with three in the midfield. You can go four in the midfield with one on top if you want to be really defensive. You can go two holding midfielders and a 10 behind the striker. There's so many options with a back five, and it's within the same players pretty much. You wouldn't have to make huge amounts of changes. Whereas with a four, you can go 4-2-3-1, and once you've started with that, it's kind of difficult to go with anything else. Do you know what I mean? You can't really drop that back to a 4-4-2. It's quite tough. So as I've said there a lot on here, that I think a back three or a back five is probably the most adaptable system, and you can change a lot within games. But I just don't think we particularly have the players, or I don't know. I don't think Emery knows the best way that he wants to play it with these players. I think the back five is going to be whoever the back five is. You've got Torreira and Xhaka are going to be the central two, but then I don't know if he wants a 10 behind two strikers, or if he wants one striker and then two people in them positions that Iwobi and Mickey played yesterday, which are kind of half and half positions. They're not really wide, but they're not really 10s.
Well, we're missing a winger. That's
yeah, but you don't. As I'm saying, you could in either of the two systems we're playing, a winger's not being used, because if you go one behind two, so a 10 would be behind Lacazette and Aubameyang, which is what he done at Huddersfield. Well, it's what he was supposed to do against Huddersfield, but he fucked it up because he played three flat in midfield, which is another example. You can go 5-3-2, which is what we've done against Huddersfield, or you can go 5-2-1-2. So you can go 5 at the back or 3, whatever, and then you can go Xhaka, Torreira, say Ozil, Aubameyang, Lacazette, and you can get your two up top that way. Or if you don't want two strikers, you can go one of the two up top and then do what he done yesterday and put Mickey and Iwobi behind, or Ozil or anyone, or Ramsey behind that striker. And in all of them systems, you don't need a winger.
You don't need one,
But that he might be doing that because we don't have a winger, and he actually wants to play a system with a winger, but we don't have one.
I think you're right. I think you've hit the nail on there, dude.
So it's a difficult one. Like as I said yesterday, really infuriated me that the wide, well, they were not wide players, and it's probably not their fault. But Iwobi and Mickey were so narrow yesterday; it made it so easy for Southampton to defend against us. And I don't really want to blame them, because when both players are doing it, it's probably what they were told to do. And Mickey's got 2 goals from coming central as well, so you can half say it worked, but it just made it really difficult to break them down when we had, especially in the second half, in the middle of the pitch, we had pretty much every player apart from Monreal and Maitland-Niles, and they were struggling to get forward because they had to cover the centre-backs, because there's no pace in Xhaka and Koscielny at centre-back. There was no pace, so the full-backs kind of had to cover that.
Mm-hmm. I just going through, and as you were talking, I was just looking at our formations. How many fucking formations do you think we've gone this year? I
mean, there's been slight adaptations. I mean, he favoured 4-2-3-1 quite clearly at the start of the season, but then Ramsey was playing so high up, it was almost like a 2 up top. But, do you know what I mean? That's just a slight adaptation of the same formation. He's then gone to a 5. or a back 3 or 5, however you want to say it. And he's gone with 2 in the middle in Xhaka and Torreira. He's also gone with 3 in the middle and added Guendouzi in there. But they're slight adaptations to the same thing, really.
Probably the weirdest one was that Huddersfield 3-5-2.
Yeah, that was the one that was probably the most wrong, I think.
Yeah, that was top
But
of the order.
considering the game we were playing against the Huddersfield, who you knew weren't going to come and try and play.
Yeah, no, that was very weird, that one. Okay. Brad's original Brad's is Ozil. Another question on Ozil. Here we go. So is Ozil starting to become bigger than the club? When he doesn't play, it's all about where is Ozil. When he plays, half the fans feel like they have to protect him. The other half are ready to tear him down when he doesn't perform. On the Southampton game, I feel the manager is getting a lot of unnecessary hate. He was limited to options. He had the defence. Granite had to play there. If he goes with Monreal, there we don't score our first goal. Southampton clinical had 3 great chances and scored. So it's a 2-part question. So I don't want to get too hung up on this Ozil thing, but I'm just gonna, because you go to the game, so you're at the stadium every week. I don't think you've missed a game since I've known you. But what's the atmosphere around Ozil, around the stadium when you see him on the bench or you're warming up? We're clapping him, we're bringing him on, we're happy.
Yeah. Look, most people tend to get behind him. You get people, not everyone. I think Brad is pretty right in the question where people probably have a shorter temper with Ozil than they do with someone else. So if he makes the same mistake as, I don't know, let's just say Lacazette, just to put a name on it. I'm not picking on Lacazette, could be absolutely anyone.
Yep.
But if Ozil and Lacazette both make the same mistake, Ozil gets groans where Lacazette doesn't. And look, that's, again, let's change the name. I'm not going to say Xhaka because he gets the same groans as Ozil. Torreira. If Ozil makes a mistake, it's groans. If Torreira does it exactly the same thing, it's sort of no problem. That's the difference. In terms of being bigger than the club, that's often used as a negative term. The player thinks he's bigger than the club.
Well, Sanchez.
But the way Brad's described it is quite right. That it's the press and the fans that are doing it. It's not Ozil himself. So if he has become bigger than the club, which I don't think he has, but there's certainly an argument to be had, it's not of his own doing. So I don't think. Look, there's many things you can criticise Ozil for. I don't think that is one of them, and Brad's wasn't criticising him as far as I understand the question, so I'm not trying to.
No, it doesn't. No, he's not criticising him. No,
but yeah, I mean, if he has become bigger than the club, I don't think it's his own doing and his own fault.
I just quickly, and the World Cup, that debacle that he had over the World Cup with the country and Germany and whatnot, was that? And I don't want to say, he's been on a downhill run since, but do you think he's taken a bit of a batter from that, and it's just taken him a fair bit of time to recover?
I don't know. I don't look. You only have to look at. Let's go over Raheem Sterling. Like, it's not affected. They've been through quite similar incidents in terms of. Well, I don't know. I think Ozil's is maybe worse, but Sterling's is more public. Because Ozil's saying there's institutional racism, Sterling's has been very obvious. We've all seen it. Mm-hmm. But they've been through very similar situations, and I think a player of their level, and that they're both top end players, they just get on with it. I don't think when he's playing a pass, he thinks, but someone in Germany was racist towards me once, and that makes him not more than once, and that makes him misplace the pass. I think all of that stuff kind of goes out the window when you're on the pitch.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, just because
that's my personal opinion.
Obviously, we don't know what's going in his head, but I'm just going from a timeline of events. It just seemed to, at the start of just after the World Cup and all that come out, and he seemed to be really down on himself. I think Arsenal even put out a statement and on it and things like that, and it just.
I think you have to back your player in that situation the same way as Man City and most of the world have come out to back Sterling. I think the one thing that's probably slightly gone against Ozil is he didn't get the support he should have done, not from us, but imagine this Sterling situation. I saw someone tweet this the other day, and and I thought it was a brilliant tweet. And I don't know who it was, but Ozil's come out and said people within the German camp have been racist towards me or discriminated against me.
Yep.
And you had a load of traditionally white Bavarian Germans come out and say, no, there's no problem. That's the same as Sterling being called what he's been called by Chelsea fans and had the racism from the press and whatnot, and Harry Kane coming out and saying, racism's not a problem. Imagine how ridiculous that would be, but that's essentially what's happened to Ozil.
Yeah, it's got to hurt. It's got to chew him up a little bit inside. I don't know if that's his, and I don't know if I want to say bad
maybe
performances.
You could also say it spurs you on.
Yeah, true. Yeah. But it hasn't.
No, but has it also had a negative effect? I think if you look at, again, look, everyone knows I'm not a numbers man, but I think his numbers are comparable to last season for the same amount of time, same amount of minutes played. As I said yesterday, look, I don't think he played well at all. But
Schwinn said he created the chances.
I'd read that. As I said, I'd read that before. I'm struggling to think of it, but apparently he did.
Yeah. I'll take Schwinn's word for it.
As I said, I'd seen a few other people tweet it when anyone criticised Ozil. That someone said, well, he still created the most chances and he'd only played 20 minutes. But as I said, I'm fucking struggling to think of him.
The second part of Brad's question on the Southampton game. I feel the manager is getting a lot of unnecessary hate. He was limited to the options he had for defence. Granite to play there. If he goes with Monreal there, we don't score our first goal. Southampton were clinical, had 3 great chances and scored.
I think they had a lot more than 3 great chances. Look, I was critical. I wouldn't call it hate. Look, if someone gets something wrong, I'm going to say it. That doesn't mean I hate them. I think Emery made mistakes yesterday, so I've said it. And I'd say the same about any player. And I said the same about Wenger when he was there. I think it's a stupid argument saying if Monreal wasn't there, we don't score the first goals. If my auntie was born, it should be my uncle. Like,
yeah, I know.
Because you don't. Yeah, maybe we don't score that exact goal, but then if Granit's in centre midfield, he pulls the strings and we score 5 others. Like, we're just dealing with absolute hypotheticals.
Yeah, exactly. Took the words out of my mouth there because as soon as I read the question, I was thinking exactly the same. But Brad's, as always, mate, thank you very much for your questions, brother. Vish, she's back again. We should have been out of sight in the first half. Aubameyang had plenty of chances to kill this game off. Personally, I feel we missed Granit in the midfield. He helps control the flow of the game. In your opinions, was it wise to play Granit in defence when he was so vital in our midfield?
No, it wasn't wise to play him at the back. We definitely missed him in the middle. In terms of should have been out of sight in the first half, again, look, I'll state again, I've only seen what I saw at the game. I've not seen any highlights or anything. But I think he's wearing very Arsenal-tinted glasses if he thinks we should have been out of sight in the first half. The only other chance I can remember was the Aubameyang one very early on. It was down the other end of the pitch from me, so it looked like a good save. Maybe he should have scored. Again, I've not seen it again. As I said, it was on his left foot going away from goal, but maybe it was a really good chance and he should have scored. But to say we should have been out of sight, even if that goes in, it's only 2-2, and they had other chances as well. So, again, Vish has seen more than me. So, because he's had different angles, he's seen replays, blah blah blah. So maybe I'm talking shit.
Well, I said to you before that I didn't mention it. Iwobi's miss, when he back.
No, that was in the second half.
Aubameyang, that was in the second half. But then you said to me, Aubameyang also missed a few chances. Look,
I'm not defending him at all. He missed a few good chances. But as I said, I'm just going on to say we should have been out of sight from the first half. From what I saw, is a crazy statement or a heavily biased statement, which we all are for obvious reasons. There was also the Aubameyang chance in the second half where it was right in front of me, and it looked like he was in and had time to score. I think Mickey played a really nice ball through actually, but then it looked like he was completely in, but then he looked really rushed, so he didn't quite get to the ball in time. They're the only 2 Aubameyang chances I can think of, but you would expect at least 1 goal from them 2 chances from someone the level of Aubameyang.
Yeah, well, I've just had a quick look because I was trying to rack a few more myself. So shots on target 4, shots off target 4, and block shots 5. So there was a good couple of chances there, but the block shots, I don't know. There might have been, don't know what they are either. That a wavy one, that would have been on target because it went rocketing over the post.
No, that was off target.
Off target, was it?
Flew over.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. Yeah, that was, of course that was. Don't worry about me. And yeah, the shots on. Yeah, so there was a couple of good chances there, but yeah, I don't know if we would have blown them away. Hindsight is a bitch. Vish, here we go. Would we have performed better with a back three of Monreal, Koscielny, Lichtsteiner, 4-5-1 formation? Why the fuck is nobody angry with Aubameyang for missing those gilt-edged chances? Yet if it were Lacazette, we would be moaning like little bitches.
To be honest, I think it's the other way around.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Well, it is. No, to be fair, I get where he's coming from because I've not seen any criticism of Aubameyang, and he did miss 2 good chances. As I said from the top of my head too, there may have been more.
Yeah.
There's not been any criticism, but I think again it's kind of like what we've done. We've tried not to, and hopefully it's come across like this. We've tried not to single out any player because everyone was poor. We've spoke about moments where Aubameyang should have done better, where Ozil should have done better, where everyone should have done better. But we've tried to not hang anyone out to dry because no one gave an acceptable performance, really. And I think that's probably why Aubameyang's got away with a bit of criticism from this. But I definitely don't think fucking Lacazette would have got more.
Yeah, look, and I was just thinking if, Vish probably listens to a couple of podcasts. We know he listens to us. But, yeah, we do. We happily criticise Lacazette here. So maybe he's just thinking of us because if Lacazette did miss a chance, we tend to go, hey, Lacazette did miss that chance. So it's only fair to say Aubameyang, he did miss a good couple of chances there.
Yeah, and look, I've made it clear many times on here I prefer Aubameyang to Lacazette, but I feel like, and again, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I'm always fair in that if Aubameyang misses a chance like he did at United, I'll be the first to point it out and say he should have done better. But again, maybe I'm in dream world and I actually don't know what I'm saying most of the time, which is entirely possible.
Watch football with your eyes, mate.
Yeah, I tried. That's a problem. I'd rather have my eyes closed yesterday.
Clay, what would you guys do to address the centre-back issues? It seems to be a rash of bad luck. They're all injured now, so I don't think buying is a good idea. Granite isn't the answer. Sorry, at Gurnett, I totally agree with you, buddy, so don't get me wrong here. And he says but I think he's needed in the midfields. Oh, somebody's listening at last. Also, did you notice the female line judge? Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, total fox. I did notice.
Was it Sean Massey? I didn't notice, but the only one I could think of was Sean Massey.
She was on the right-hand side, so.
Yeah, that's the far end from me. So.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I did notice her. Good question. How do we address this centre back issue?
Well, if he wants to stay with 3 at the back, like I know I said last week I didn't think we would sign, but if he wants to stay with 3 at the back, he has to. I think Koscielny's done as a top level footballer, especially one that you can rely on to play often. So I think if you take him out of the question, you're basically taking Holding out of the question for essentially a year. It's going to be September before Holding plays again. So you're taking Holding out for a year. You've got Koscielny, who couldn't be trusted week in, week out. Mavropanos, you can't trust week in, week out just because he's only ever played, 3 or 4 games. And it leaves you with Socrates and Mustafi. So, in that sense, I think you have to sign. I think he's also come out and said that I'm a big advocate of when you play a back three centre-backs, that one of them is usually like a fullback or a very good footballer, so they can come out with the ball. But he said he wants 3 actual centre-backs. That doesn't mean they can't come out with the ball, but usually when we've seen it before, we've seen like Monreal and then 2 centre-backs, Mustafi and Koscielny or Mertesacker and Holden, as it was in the cup final. But I think Emery said he wants 3 actual centre-backs. So in that case, we will have to sign because we just don't have them.
He said that, did he? He wants 3.
Yeah, someone told me that. No, so not he wants to sign 3 people. That he wants, in his back 3.
Oh, okay, I'm with you now.
He wants to have the 3 players there that are all actual natural centre backs, rather than, as I said before, even with us against Huddersfield, we played 2 centre backs in Socrates and Mustafi, and then we also played Lichtsteiner, who's obviously not a natural centre back. And I think that's maybe the reason why Monreal stayed out wide yesterday and Xhaka came in, because he's a bit bigger and he's more in stature. He's more like a centre back.
Yeah.
As I said, that's apparently what Emery said he wants.
Okay.
So I think if you are going with that mould, we will be signing a centre back in January.
Did you say Sian Massey Ellis?
Oh, if she's Sean Massey, unless she's got, it was always Sean Massey.
Sean Massey Ellis, yeah, that was the one who was there.
Yeah, she's been a liner for ages.
Yeah, okay, yeah, there you go. I didn't recognise the mate, but yeah, I did notice her running up and down that field. I'm very fucking careful what I say. Okay, I'll just roll on that RC fella conceding 3 headers in one game. What the fuck is going on there?
They're all. What's more worrying is they're all free headers, because it can happen. You can concede headers, and then also their next best chance was Yoshida, and I think Leno made a really good save from Yoshida, and he should have scored. But it's another header, another free header. The method of goal isn't whether it be head, left foot, right foot, knee, cock, doesn't really matter. But the free headers is what worries me. As in
the
F-R-E-E.
space. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but the space worried me.
Well, it's the same thing. You don't get a free header if you've got no space.
Yeah,
if there's someone leaning on you, it's not a free header, is it?
No. So yeah, I agree with you. That's what was more worrying to me, that they even got the ball like they did. And I can't put my finger on who to blame. I'll have to go back through that. Not that I really care, to be honest. We lost the fucking match, but like, I know one of them was Bellerin, I'd nearly say, but then I'd say, in the first goal, in the mids, probably that ball shouldn't have got out there to start with. So I've got to look at whether it was Ferrer or Guendouzi.
There's a number of mistakes, but the most interesting one for me is why someone's just standing on their own in the middle.
Yeah. You said, what'd you say, Koscielny? That's him gone too.
I think he's done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, it's a horrendous injury, your Achilles. I don't know many sportsmen that have ever come back from a serious Achilles injuries in any sports, and I'm a huge boxing fan, as most people will know, and I've seen boxers with Achilles injuries, and they struggle because it's the power transfer, and they don't have to run particularly, not obviously when they're fighting. So you imagine trying to put all your weight through when you're trying to take off to sprint. Koscielny looked like he couldn't move yesterday.
He did look.
He didn't move against carrier bag, but he wasn't made to. So we thought maybe he's just got through it. But yeah, and look, let's be honest. I'm not even just basing it on the injury. He wasn't good before he got injured. He looked like he was on the decline before he got injured.
Yeah, true.
And that is just it's such a bad injury, because it's a weight bearing. Your Achilles is where all your weight goes from your feet, and obviously not just kicking the ball, but when you're taking off, when you're changing direction, that's all your Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
And his is essentially fucked.
Very tough to come back from.
Oh, look, I would love him to, and he's done some great things. He's been very loyal to the club throughout the years. He's led us to trophies. He's had some unbelievable performances. So it's not a want. I want him to be finished.
Yeah,
but I can't look. He may have a good game every now and then. That's possible because he's a talented footballer. But as a centre back solution, I think he's done.
Mm-hmm.
And there was reports about a month ago that we was looking to let him go in January, and maybe we've been forced into playing him because we had no one else. But I'd be amazed if Emery sees him there long term.
Yeah, no, I agree. But Schwinn, on another one though, Schwinn did bring up a good point that if we do buy in January, is that the end of Chambers, and do you prefer Chambers over somebody else that we bring in? Because let's face it, you got Socrates and Mustafi there, so it's not going to be I couldn't imagine a $40 million player. So,
well, if you want to play three at the back, 3 centre backs, you need 5. So that maybe I'm being presumptuous and taking Koscielny out of it, but you've got Socrates, Mustafi, Holding, who's a bit iffy at the moment, Mavropanos, who's a bit iffy at the moment for different reasons, and then Chambers. If you bring one in, does that signal the end for one of them? Possibly, but you think he's going to want to start next season with 5, and Holding won't be ready for the start of next season. We have no idea what's going to happen with Mavropanos. Yeah, he looked very good in the 2 or 3 games he played, but that doesn't mean he is very good, or that doesn't mean he's ready yet. So I don't think signing a centre-back, if Emery stays with playing 3, signals the end for Chambers. If we go back to a 4 and sign a centre-back, then Chambers is done.
Yeah, okay. So we've got... Mafropanos, Holding, very young, so I'd imagine they're going to be at the club for some time. They're probably going to be the step-ins of Mustafi. Socrates we just signed, so I imagine he's going to be here for some time. Mustafi, who knows, because there's only, last season he was looking at going back to Italy. He's got a young family there, so he might be probably the first one to go, Mustafi. I just don't know if you buy what do you spend there? It's a very tough one. I see we need depth. I see
the issue is where you go. Look, and you've got to think, the problem Chambers has is the here and now. We do not have 3 centre-backs at the moment. So it's all well and good thinking, we've got Chambers coming back next season, which is August by the time it starts.
Yeah.
But we can't deal with only having 2 centre-backs between now and August because Callum Chambers is coming back. It's not like you've got fucking, I don't know, PK or something coming, or Ramos. Callum Chambers, there's no guarantee he's even getting the team anyway. There was rumours, though, actually, that I don't know if it's possible, and I know we spoke about this before, but Chambers missed the game at United away, Fulham's game. And there was a lot of rumours around Fulham that it was because Arsenal were trying to negotiate a deal to get him back.
Oh, okay.
Then he played on Saturday. So obviously he missed the Saturday before at Old Trafford. And it was they just said injured. And it's like, and then when they asked what the injury was, they just said he's injured.
Yeah, okay.
And all the rumours around Fulham were that Arsenal were trying to negotiate a deal to get him back.
What type of, just thinking of that deal, it'd be obviously a fee we'd have to pay them, would we?
Well, it depends how it all worked out, because I assume they paid a fee to take him on loan. And so, yeah, we would have to pay a fee. And it doesn't, obviously, in an ideal world, you'd say they paid $5 million for him to have him for a year. Yeah. And you'd go, he's had half the year, so we'll give you $2.5 million. But that's not how it works. They're kind of in power because they can tell us no because they've paid the fee. Yeah. So it could be a case you have to say, we'll give you the whole $5 million back even though you've had him for 6 months. Or it could be the case where they'll say, look, he's worth $10 million to us this season. So give us $10 million or we're keeping him. Even though he's our player, the power's in their hands unless there's a recall agreement, which I don't know. I don't think there is. It's very rare there's a recall agreement when a fee is paid.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, and there might be something to look at in the future with Arsenal. Might be thinking, shit, we might have to put recall fucking agreements in place here.
Yeah, it's just otherwise. It's very rare they go in when a fee is paid, because otherwise you could charge someone $10 million to take someone on loan and then recall them the next day. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. That RC fella, seriously, Charlie Austin is never going to be regarded as a Premier League legend, let alone a great. So how is he allowed to torment us over and over and over again? 5 goals in 5 games against us.
I really like Austin. I do
too. Yeah, I've always liked him.
I think Austin's one of them players that's very annoying to play against because he's not quick, he's not particularly strong, he doesn't really bother the defenders, but he takes up very good positions and he's a very good finisher. So, he's one of them players, you see his goals and he's always unmarked. And you just think, does anyone not ever think about marking that geezer?
I'm with you. I missed him when he went down with Newcastle, was it? QPR, sorry, yeah. And I was like, well, where's he gone? So I was quite happy when Southampton bought him because he, we could get to watch him again. So I enjoy watching him. Yeah.
But yeah, it's not a surprise that he does well against us because our players like to have someone to mark. So they don't mind actually like a quick player or a strong player because it gives them something to play against. The players that give you nothing to play against, and Aubameyang's like that in a sense. I know he's very quick, but it gives the centre backs nothing to do, and it tests their concentration more than anything because he's not there. They're not focused on him, and then all of a sudden the ball goes over to him, and it's like fuck. There's no one near him because the defenders have forgot about him, and it sounds so amateur, but it happens all the time. Like how many times did you see? I know I'm going back a few years. How many times did you see Van Nistelrooy get tap-ins? And it's because the defenders had nothing to do, and then they forget about him, and then suddenly scores. And Aubameyang's very good at that. The amount that people criticise Aubameyang for just scoring tap-ins at the back post, but why doesn't everyone just score tap-ins at the back post?
Well, they're quick off the mark, and they just get into them spaces where.
No, but if you look at a lot of Aubameyangs, and I know we've gone from Austin to Aubameyang, but he hasn't had to particularly be quick for them. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he's like say the two Leicester goals. He was the defenders were 10 yards away from him, and he tapped them both in the 6-yard box.
Well, there was one incident there yesterday, and he didn't get the goal, obviously, and I looked at it, I thought, fuck me, you're good, where he just slipped in between two defenders, and they were just standing there, and I think it was a ball from Guendouzi to him, and he obviously. He had the shot, I think, but it was, or might have just missed. But it was more the play getting between them two defenders, and I thought, fuck, how did he do that? And
his timings are wrong, but it does, as I said, making the defenders forget you're there is it happens. It happens so much. As I said, if you don't give them anything to play against, they kind of lose focus on you.
Well, yeah, they do that too. That's pretty clever, eh? Very fucking clever. Hakon Larson, he's only got the one. He usually has a heap for us, so he just straight up, did Emery get anything right in this game?
I mean, there's obviously, if you go through, playing Leno, like there's obviously things he done right, but I think he made a hell of a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, look, he's made mistakes previously, and we've been lucky. So this one, as you said, he been punished for.
Yeah, his time was up. Not his time was up because people are saying, "Oh, you said he should get sacked." I don't mean that. I mean in terms of his luck ran out. I think he probably made more mistakes yesterday than he has done in any other game as well, because they were all over the place. There was mistakes in the lineup, as I said, the shape, the roles, the formation, the subs, the changes in the shapes, roles, and formation. There was just so many mistakes. Whereas before, I've criticised him for making the wrong subs, say. But I think everything else was okay or correct. Whereas yesterday, I think he's made mistakes just all over the place. And look, I didn't hear it, but someone told me when I got home yesterday that he said in his press conference after the game that we could have lost quite a lot of these 22 games, and we've come through them, and it was just our time today. And I think he's exactly right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, he knows where we're at. He's trying different things, and I don't know if he's. It's obviously. I read an article the other day. It's not his team yet. It is still Wenger's team, and I agree with that. Even though we've got Guendouzi, Socrates, but a lot of the players, Mafropanos, he's a Wenger signing. To Emery, to El Neni, Aubameyang, Lacazette. So. I don't know, like you said it before, like how many of these players actually fit into Emery's system? Next year we might see another 3 or 4 players come in the next 2 windows. We don't.
I would expect that to happen, to be honest.
We don't know. So, okay, let's look forward to. So we've got Tottenham in the EFL Cup, and then we're Burnley. We will obviously record after the Burnley game. Then I think you'll find we're slowly coming up to 100th episode, and a big shout out to everybody who has downloaded, listened, subscribed, because you guys are awesome. And be honest, I never thought any cunt would want to listen to me, you and Schwinn, Tony. It's I looked at the.
Speak for yourself, mate.
No, I looked at the stats today and I went, holy fuck, it's nearly been 12 months, or it has been longer than 12 months.
Over
We've been
12.
recording. Yeah. So we're coming up to our 100th episode and going strong as ever. So thank you, everybody, for, all your support, your questions, your fucking everything. You're the legends. Recommending us to your mates. It's great. So I think we hit our 100th episode just after the Liverpool game. So we will be here throughout Christmas, and then I disappear for a few holidays. So. Do you want to do a quick prediction? Tottenham in the EFL Cup?
I think that I know I usually sit on the fence and say absolute bullshit, but I think it's quite difficult because we don't know what kind of team either sides are going to play. I expect after our result us to go quite strong, and I think they will probably expect us to go quite strong, so they will go strong as well. But I think they will probably go a little bit weaker than us, because they'll try and prove we have bigger fish to fry. We're still in the Champions League, blah blah blah, fucking cunts.
Yep.
So I think we'll probably see a stronger Arsenal team than we will Tottenham team, which should lead to us winning. But it is one of them games you can be wildly wrong, because Arsenal could go, actually, we need to get Premier League form back on track. We'll rest absolutely everyone for the Burnley game. Or vice versa, Tottenham could think, fuck it, we don't care about the cup, we'll play our under-18s. So I think it's one of them games, it's just, it's not me sitting on the fence. I can throw a score out there if you want, as I usually do, but
no, you just don't know. I agree with you. I don't know what our team's going to look like, because as you were talking then, if we throw a full strength team out against Tottenham in the EFL Cup, what are you throwing out against Burnley?
Yeah, I mean Burnley's
2
going to be
days
full
later.
strength.
Yeah, but
3 days.
2 days later. 3 days. Yeah, sorry. So it's going to be full strength. So I don't know if Tottenham's going to be a full strength. I'm going to call a week or two.
I think it'll be probably 80% full strength.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the non-full strength I expect to be like someone like Ramsey, who you could, people will make arguments that he should be in our full strength team.
Yep.
And Czech, and who again, although Leno's clearly our number one, it's not like we're playing an 18-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, well, we'll see. We'll be back after the Burnley game, and obviously we'll be tweeting throughout the Tottenham game and our thoughts there. And then, you don't want to record after then, do you?
We'll see.
We'll see how we go anyway. Okay, thanks, mate.
Thank you.
And thank you for Schwinn for showing up for his little half an hour, and hopefully he'll be back with us again. Thank you to our wonderful listeners, and thank you for everybody for your questions, for downloading. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. You can subscribe on your favourite podcast app, and you can follow us at @clockend_talk on Twitter, and hit us a like on Facebook. Thank you, and see you later.